air conditioner?
Fine. We're fine.
Fine.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you.
This is for you, sir. Let me check.
Where's the card? Card. His card. I wanted to. There. Thank you. Mucho mala.
They are selling, that screen is for the cars, to avoid the, you know, shading.
To shade the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put it on the windshield.
In the wind.
Okay, it doesn't. It's not
So,
Anyway,
I lost my point now.
Shorts are okay tomorrow.
Shorts are okay tomorrow. Even if it's raining, for me it's a hot day because it's raining. Now, you're supposed to have your rain gear. Bring it tomorrow just in case. Rain gear, in the city there is no problem with umbrellas. But umbrellas in Patagonia, I would like to see that. With us. Yeah. I post you an umbrella tomorrow, a plastic poncho, I don't know. But anyway, we're going to be in the bus, we're going to be getting off. We're going to be in different neighborhoods. Tomorrow we visit Recoleta. We're going to the cemetery, which is really attractive. Where Evita is buried. We're going to the main government palace, where these ladies of May used to march. We're going to see the balcony where Evita used to give the speech. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but Evita never sung the song Don't Cry For Me, but it was a balcony that was there. And we will give you choices, because tomorrow you have free time a little bit at the end of the tour, about 1:30, and then 5:30 we're going for our tango lessons, which is in a place very traditional in Buenos Aires, which is Confiteria La Ideal, which is close from the hotel. And well, after that, for those who want to join us, we're going to the tango show. The tango shows in Buenos Aires, most of them, they start 8:30, okay? 8:30, starting with dinner. Tomorrow, if you take the option, and if you want to have a siesta, it's okay too. Okay? I mean, it's your vacation, not mine. If you want to have a siesta, it's okay. If you want to have a beer in a bar, it's okay. If you want to visit a museum, let us know and we can explain you how to get there. Is whatever you want to do, let us know. I mean, because you have that little time on your own. If you want to attend to the tango lesson, that will be something special for you because it's an historical place.
Es el edificio
George Duval?
con la imagen de Evita.
What's the name of the actor?
Robert Duvall.
Robert Duvall.
Tiene dos caras. Una que
They
apunta
come to this place because it's the most
al
traditional
norte con
place
el micrófono
where the locals
en forma de
go to dance
protesta y otra que apunta al sur con una sonrisa para la gente humilde.
Okay? And we're going to teach you the tango probably of our grandfathers, which is very far away from tango show, which is another thing. Tango show is a tango choreography, which is extremely beautiful. But tango, as our grandparents used to dance it, is completely different because you can dance it with anybody. I need to close my numbers, which means I need to confirm the reservation. So think about it tonight and to my backpack.
inside of your bag.
They took my backpack.
But, I mean, I'm at risk for having this slash.
Nobody's going to do this. No, it's not that bad.
You're not going to have a razor and slash.
You have to be always in front of you. It's always in front of you. You see it. Okay. It's the person's side. It's not as bad, Tana. It's not. The thing is, I'm telling you, so you take the precautions. Because so far, so good in this season. Last season, I have the situation with a briefcase. You know, leaving the hotel. We were going to Iguazu in the postal station. This man was helping her wife to get into the computer of the hotel. And 3 ladies in business outfit entered to the business center. He took his briefcase. Unfortunately, his briefcase, it was her passport and his passport. So he has to stay back. He has to leave. Anyway, he continued the trip 2 days later. It was very, very fast. Él trabaja en un canal de televisión en Estados Unidos. Trajo 5 cámaras. Así que lo vas a ver.
Está bien, perfecto.
Where we are to a traditional neighborhood. One of the oldest neighborhoods in Buenos Aires is La Boca, and the other one was San Telmo. San Telmo is a neighborhood with cobblestones in the streets where carriages used to be, where the kind of high society, meaning high class society, used to live. I will leave the story to the owner of the place to tell the story. I like to translate her because she's very passionate about it. The menu in Oiti, we have meals included. We have a set menu, and we have a budget for that. But usually we like to use it in food. sometimes we can include a glass of wine, sometimes, not always. And when we include it, we have a quota. And when the quota is over, I will let you know, then you can buy your own wine, because we don't have wine forever, okay? We don't have that budget yet. So, and in some meals we cannot include wine, because wine, it was, as we said here, an eye of the face. You have a different saying. Okay? We said an eye of the face. You said an arm and a leg.
Oh, okay.
We said eye of the face. So sometimes we include an eye of the face. Wine, not so we prefer to include food first. Just, I think it makes sense, right? So once we get there, I will let you know the fee.
Now, are the streets of this city laid out this way? You get with, or did you have a tragic fire and like slowly and decide to just go through all sorts of barrios and build wide streets?
Yeah, most of the streets were, I mean, we have houses.
Really wide streets.
We have houses until the middle of. We're going to enter with a big bus. We cannot enter in this neighborhood. Take a look at the streets. Take a look at the architecture from 1930s. Some of them very neoclassical. Some of the style, the cobblestones and everything. And now we're going to get off and. Yo hace como 2 años que no vengo a esta cosa.
Sí. Yo soy músico.
¿Cómo? ¿Tú eres músico?
Cantor.
Are you old for it?
¿En serio?
Sí, en serio. Yo ando con mi guitarra encima. Si querés, después le regalo.
Buena. Hagamos una cosa. Cuando vengamos de vuelta,
Cuando empezar a
aquí, si vos querés. Bueno, ahí está Gabriela. Bueno, millones. Okay, here we are.
¿Cómo se llama?
María Elvira.
Y
La casa antigua Tasca de Cuchilleros fue el primer horno de ladrillos que hicieron los jesuitas en el año 1729. This house have 285 years.
Ah, yeah. This is all the light that has.
Where are we? We are in the Italian portion of the city, and over there there's a not a placard but a sign that says, talks about all the men who were detained and died in the war and the political change in 1976, 77. And the guy said, my life is nothing but pain. I remember these men, and it has the names of all the people that were detained and killed. This, I think, must have been the old fort. ¿Quiénes las personas
en el balcón de Caminito? Está el más famoso cantante, que es Carlito Gardel, y el ex presidente que falleció, Juan Perón, y la ex presidenta que era Evita Perón.
Gardel,
Juan Perón y Evita Perón.
Who was Gardel? The dancer, music?
Gardel es el gran cantante que fue del tango. Más,
He was a tango dancer.
él es el primero que cantaba los tangos más famosos. La comparsita, el día que me quiero, para el tango, esa.
Con camiseta de Boca.
Famoso, cantante, todos los tangos. Ven, mira allá afuera. Este es un negocio también, pero ahora está en reparación. Vamos a mirar ahora. Vamos a abrir. Para que vea acá todo lo que es caminito.
¿Cómo se llama, señora?
Yo me llamo Charo. Charo, vivo muchos años acá en Caminito. Soy extranjera, peruana, pero vivo muchos años acá. Tengo mis 2 nenes argentinos y 2 hijos peruanos. Gracias. Muy bien, ahí está. Les dejo acá. Los dejo acá y después vayan. Miren, miren todo lo que quiera. Ya está Caminito, el riachuelo. Esta es una cancha.
Caminito.
Allá todo esto es Caminito La Boca. Caminito La Boca.
Price well for Brazilians. Their currency is stronger than the peso.
¿Se les conviene a los brasileños venir por acá o no?
Yes.
The answer is
It's
yes.
more convenient for them to come here than for us to go there. Brazil is more expensive than Argentina, even for you.
Sí, pero Chile es más caro que todo.
Chile es más caro que Brasil. Pero para comprar tecnología, re barato, para hacer shopping, ver eso traes con una cartera de cuero que le salió
Sí, por eso te digo.
equivalente a 200 pesos argentinos.
Pero lo que ves comida y hotelería es más caro.
If you take a cruise ship from Rio, where the heck do you go? You go down the coast and then you go up.
Buenos Aires. So far we've seen many different things. We saw the mansions, and then we drive through the colonial streets, and then we came to this humble but colorful neighborhood, and now we have this on the left that is shanty town. This kind of really humble neighborhoods are very common in all of the South American countries. For us, they are called Villa de Emergencia, that means emergency village. But when you go to Brazil, they call them favelas. And when you're in Chile, they call them Población Callampa. Depending on the country where you are, is the name that they give to these neighborhoods. They are basically the same thing, really humble neighborhoods that grow every time we go through an economical crisis. Now I will explain you the last one that we had, the ships. So they get one day blue, the other day red, the other day green. They use all the little bits to paint the houses. Nowadays they don't come to the port anymore. If you want to keep the tradition, you will keep on painting your house in different colors, okay? So the people that want to keep the tradition is the one that choose to paint the houses in different colors. Now, the reason why these kind of shanty towns or poor neighborhoods grow is economical issues. The last big crisis that we had was in the year 2001. Before that, in the 90s, we had a president that was a really, really bad president. He was such a bad president that nowadays it's bad luck to say his name. So as we don't want us to have bad luck, we are going to call him you know who, okay? Just in case. He wanted $1 to be 1 peso. That's almost impossible for the weak economies of the South American countries because the dollar is too expensive for us. In order to have enough money for $1 to be 1 peso, you know who decided to privatize all the national companies like the petrol that we talked before, and gas, and airlines, airports, I don't know, electricity, telephone, water. All the national things became private. The government had the money, and with that money, $1 was 1 peso, and the society's reality was different. High-class people and medium-class people were very happy because their salaries were in dollars, they could travel anywhere in the world. And on the other hand, low-class people lost their jobs because it was cheaper to bring things made in Taiwan than to make them here. So most of our factories closed, and we had over 25% of unemployment. Okay, very big percent of the population, no jobs. The problem was for the following government, do you know who? The following government, do you know who, had no more money to keep on buying dollars for $1 to be 1 peso. So there was a rumor that the banks don't have the dollars. I don't think the banks will be able to give the savings to the people back. Savings of medium-class people are in dollars and on the banks. High-class people save in dollars, but in other countries. Low-class people don't have dollars. So all the savings of the medium-class people were on the different banks, national banks and private banks. And suddenly there was a rumor that there were no more dollars. So all the people tried to withdraw their savings from the bank. It's like, a colleague from work told me that the banks are going to collapse, so I better withdraw my savings from my bank. Really? I'll do the same then, and I will tell my mother that also has an account. So in 1 week, all the medium-class people trying to take their money out. Banks don't have the money because they invest the money. So to protect the banks, that president frozen the people's accounts. They say nobody can take the money out. The only thing you can do is a transaction from one account to another. So we had a big demonstration with all the people, medium-class people on the streets with their pans, you know, the ones that you used to cook. They use them to make noise on the streets. That big demonstration was called cacerolazo, and that comes from pan, okay? Cacerola means pan. All the people, quit, president, we hate you, you're a lousy president, terrible, go back to your house and we don't want you anymore. And the president quit. And after that we had 5 presidents in 1 week. Yes. It looks like from a story, a horror story, but it's truth. I don't even remember their names. One lasted 16 hours. You go to bed. Which is the president? Carlos. Okay, you sleep. You wake up. Is it still Carlos the president? No, Eduardo is the president now. It was like that. Finally, the governor of one province decided to take office, and what he did, after promising the people that if you have dollars, you will still have dollars, don't worry about the money, blah, 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 lies. What he did was to convert all the accounts from dollars into pesos, so nobody else had dollars anymore, and then he devaluated the dollar. He released the dollar. $1 was no longer 1 peso, was 3, and the following day 3.40, and the following day 4. 1 second and I finish.
Ahora lo que hacemos es ir hasta Perón y subimos por Perón a la Plaza de Mayo, ¿sí? Justo antes de Cabaña Las Lilas ahí. Gracias.
So the people that had savings in dollars, they started wondering, how much money do I have? Because I had $10,000 in the bank. How many pesos do I have now? The government, to protect the financial system, didn't let the people to speculate with the dollar. They didn't let the people to wait for the dollar to be really high to withdraw their savings. No, they put a price for the dollar that was 1.6, and the dollar was 4. So if you had $10,000, now you have 16,000 pesos when the dollar was 4. So the people complain a lot, and we had more demonstrations, and to stop those demonstrations, that president decided to use the police in a very violent way. So over 30 people died during demonstrations at the end of 2001 and beginning of 2002. In 2003 we had democratic elections. The president who won the elections won with only 22% of the votes, that is almost nothing. And what he did was to use all the money that the government had in back into the people. He gave raises to retired people, raises to police officers, raises to school teachers from the public system and doctors from the public system. And when you have the money, you spend the money. You buy a new pair of tennis shoes for your kids and a soccer ball and maybe a bicycle. And we have a pretty high VIT here. It's 21%. So moving the local economy and the government controlling the ones that collect the taxes, because it's a very corrupt system, and the people used to not pay taxes. But now the ones that control that are not so corrupt than before, so they really control the taxes that the people is supposed to pay. Collecting more money from taxes, we repay our international debt, and we became more reliable for international investments. So many industries decided to bring their factories here, many companies decided to bring their offices here. That gave more jobs to the people that keep on spending their salaries here, and that keep on moving the economy in a positive way. That's why this country doesn't look like a country that had that major crisis only 12 years, 14 years ago, okay? And this on the right is an example of that. You see this neighborhood here on the right? We are talking about crisis and economy because we were in a shanty town 5 minutes ago. This is one of the most expensive neighborhoods in the city to live. It's modern, it's new, it's nice, it's trendy. It used to be a port. The first port in the city was the tiny port in La Boca, where we were before. It was too small. We needed a bigger one. At the beginning of the 1900s, the government hired an architect that was called Eduardo Madero. This architect designed this port that is on the right, and the port was named after him. So nowadays this neighborhood is called Puerto Madero, but it had a little bit problem. 4 docks. Instead of being in this way, on the shore of the river here, they were in this way, parallel to the shore, okay? They had one entrance, one dock, a swing bridge, another dock, another swing bridge, another dock, 4. In each dock there were 4 warehouses that are these brick buildings that you can see on the right. So when you arrived to the port, you say, hello, I'm coming from Spain, I'm here to pick up some wheat. Okay, the wheat warehouse is the warehouse number 2 of dock number 3. This way, please. And you had to go to dock number 1, and then to dock number 2, and then to dock number 3, and then to the warehouse number 2 to finally load. And then you had to leave. So it was slow, small and slow. So they needed to build a new port that nowadays is the commercial port and for cruises as well. The cruise, all the people that you saw there in Caminito is in that cruise, in that port. And this area in the city became the backyard of Buenos Aires. It was an abandoned, old, ugly, dirty, and dangerous port. 20 years ago, we decided to start with the restoration of the port, and that's why the brick buildings that you can see, they still look like warehouses. That's what they were originally. Nothing was pulled down. Look at the yellow cranes there on the right. They left them as something decorative. The idea was to make this look like an old port. That's why nothing was pulled down. The silos are still here. They became trendy hotels where the rock stars stay. These warehouses became lofts, offices. This on the right, for example, is a private university. For you to compare with a public university don't pay. Here you pay maybe 3,000, 4,000 pesos a month per kid. And an average salary here is 10,000 pesos a month. 12,000 pesos a month. So not everybody can pay 4,000 pesos per kid per month to study at a private university. That's why for us it's so important to have the public university, because it gives the same opportunities to any person. It doesn't matter the family where you were born, okay? Now, besides the private university that is the Catholic University of Argentina, here we also have cinemas, museums, thousands of great restaurants where the people come for lunch or dinner. You have green areas where you can practice sports. You have shops and supermarkets. So you have basically everything in a nice, modern, safe neighborhood that is really near downtown. Because on the left, very soon you're going to see that we are like behind the city. So the people live here and walk to their jobs. They don't need to travel on the train or drive their cars or take the subway. They just walk. So this neighborhood is one of the most expensive neighborhoods in the city to live. Remember that we talk about prices of apartments in Recoleta? I told you they are 4,000 American dollars the square meter to buy a property. So maybe an apartment is 400,000 American dollars. Here you pay from $6,000 the square meter. So the same size of an apartment here is $1 million, 1.5 million apartments. Okay, beautiful big apartments with a nice river view. But it's $1.5 million. Okay, so where I live is from where we are right now, 35 blocks to the left, and where I live, that is near downtown. If I take a bus, it takes me 25 minutes to be here. You pay $2,000 a square meter. This place is 3 times more expensive because you pay location also. Now we are going to see on the right a white boat that is a frigate that is called Sarmiento Frigate. It used to be a school boat that sailed all over the world training the sailors, and nowadays it's a museum here on the right. And if you keep looking on the right, you will see a white bridge that is called the Woman Bridge. I don't know if you can see it there on the right. Made by a famous Spanish architect called Santiago Calatrava. And look on the other side, an abandoned silo. That's the way this looked like 20 years ago, okay? This is an example of the late improvement that we've been living. For us, safe investments are buy properties. Imagine that for years we didn't trust in banks. We didn't want to put our dollars in the bank because we were not sure if the banks were going to give it back, if it was going to be dollars or pesos or shens. We didn't know. So what you do when you have some savings, you put them underneath your mattress. And once you have $20,000, you call your mom. Mama, I have $20,000. What should I do? Call your sister. She has 25 and I have 15. We can buy an apartment together. For us, safety investments are properties. So this neighborhood is growing all the time. Look at the big towers on the other side of the river. None of those towers is more than 10 years old. They are 6 years old, 7 years old. They are being built right now. They are 2 years old because the city is growing all the time because the people invest in that, buying properties, okay? Many of them are empty. We call it the ghosts neighborhood because it's so expensive that a few people can afford to live there. Very successful professionals, soccer players that have crazy salaries, politicians live there, and many businessmen, not necessarily from Argentina. Maybe some people from Spain, from the States, from Canada, own apartments here because they have a company with offices here, so they come here maybe 3 months a year, and instead of being in a hotel, they own their own apartments in this neighborhood. Yes.
These are residences, all of the south.
Half of those buildings are offices, and half of those buildings are apartments. For example, those 2 high towers that are on the right are apartments, but the one that has a funny shape that is from the avenue to the right, that has like a different kind of window right on top of it, those are offices. Those are not apartments. So this is another neighborhood that you can walk around by yourselves because it's really, really nice. You can go there for dinner if you want. For the ones that are not going to the tango show tonight, this is one option. You take a taxi from the hotel, in 10 minutes you'll be there, and it's a beautiful neighborhood to walk around with some of the best restaurants in the city, okay? So it's a really, really nice place to go. Now the area that we are going to visit next is the historical part of the city, and it's where Buenos Aires city was founded. We had 2 foundations in Buenos Aires, but first, look at that building on the right behind the trees. Really nice European monumental style building. That one now on the right, behind the bus there. That used to be the post office. These kind of European style buildings were built at the beginning of the 1900s when the city started becoming European, okay? Nowadays it's under a restoration and they will make there the biggest cultural center in South America. You will be able to go there to see plays and concerts and temporary expositions of different artists. Now they didn't finish the restoration yet, so We have to wait to see that. Now, Buenos Aires had two foundations. I will explain you why. South America, 1500s. Half of South America was a Portuguese colony. Nowadays, Brazil. Other half of South America, a Spanish colony. The main port, Lima, Pacific Ocean. Imagine how long were the trips from Lima all around the continent to Spain. They took forever. They needed a closer city on the Atlantic. An Spaniard crossed the Atlantic, got here, and in the year 1536 founded the first Buenos Aires. But we had natives here that didn't let the people to go out and look for food. So after 5 years, that city was burned. The population moved somewhere else, and we have no records about where it was located, only theories. Some years after that, another Spaniard got here. His name was Juan de Garay in the year 1580, and in the place where we are going right now, he founded this Buenos Aires, the successful foundation, the one that grew. Nowadays, as a typical Spanish city, surrounding the main square, we have the main buildings. The one that is right in front of us, the Pink House. Probably you notice how originals are with names. See, the yellow house, we call it the yellow house. The pink house, we call it the pink house. We kill each other thinking, how should we name it, huh? The pink house. Look there on the left. And you see that empty parking? I don't know if you can see, but there's a windsock there. That's a heliport. The heliport for the presidential helicopter. The pink house is only where our presidents work. It's not where our presidents live. Presidents live 15 kilometers away from here. So they don't drive through the traffic jam, of course. They use a helicopter to come to the pink house to work. Do you know who is our president? A woman. Her name is Cristina Fernandez. She is the wife of that president that in 2003 started the political process that we are living, okay? The one that came after the 5 presidents and the one that devaluated our money. He was called Nestor Kirchner. He only won with 22% of the votes. Then she went for the government and she won with 35% of the votes. And then he was going to be candidate again, but he passed away 1 year before the elections. So she went for the re-election and she won with 54% of the votes. There's only one president that ever had more than that, Perón. Okay, so imagine how important the political moment that we are living is.
Wasn't that recent?
Why
the election was very recent.
We have this year elections. We don't know. She cannot be a candidate again because she cannot be re-elected. So somebody else will have to be president. Probably the candidate that she supports is the one that will win next elections because we have a very weak opposition. And this president is no longer 54% popular, but is 45% popular. So she's still a very popular political figure.
Paramos acá por ti. I will try. Well, Evita was born in 1919 and she was an illegitimate daughter of a rich man with a poor lady from another town. She had a very poor childhood. Her father died when she was a really young girl and the mother didn't have any resources from the legal family, the husband, the illegal husband, let's call it that way. Then Evita moved to the city to become an actress. She had a 10 years career. Because she was an actress, she met Perón. Perón was already an important military that was being the defense minister and the labor minister and the vice president. At the labor minister, he started the social revolution, created all the social laws for workers. So they fall in love, they started a relationship, they got married, and after that he became the president and she became the first lady. As the first lady, she decided to create a foundation that was called Eva Perón's Foundation. With the one she made the social work that makes her famous in the world. She created hospitals, schools, shelters for single mothers and orphan kids, sport tournaments for the kids. So everything they were doing basically was for low-class people and nothing was for high-class people. So there were two kind of feelings for Perón and Evita only. The love from low-class people and workers, and the hate from high-class people. And then medium-class people that had different opinions about them ended up hating them too because
opposition was illegal, so nobody could say that things about the government. Even though it was a democratic government, it was illegal to be against the government. So only two feelings for them, love or hate, and nothing more. Evita was sent to a mission in Europe. She interviewed all the head leaders of the European countries to do business after the Second World War. When she was not the vice president or any member of the government, she was just the first lady, and she was only 28 years old. Very successful tour. When she came back, Perón modified the constitution, included the re-election, made a law for ladies to be able to vote. He won the re-election with over 60% of the votes, because not only the workers voted for him, but also the wives of the workers. And right after he took office, Evita, that was supposed to be the vice president, couldn't, because she was sick, she had cancer. So right after he took office, she passed away from this cancer when she was only 33 years old. She had after that the greatest funeral in our history, with flowers everywhere and long lines of people waiting to say goodbye to her. That lasted 14 days. And after that, 3 years after she died in 1952. In the year 1955, Perón was overthrown by militaries that hated them. They tried to erase them from the history, so all the belongings of the foundation were destroyed or expropriated. All the books that talk about Perón and Evita were burned. Perón left the country. He ended up living in Spain, and he remarried in Spain. And Evita's body stayed here. The militaries took her body. They decided to hide her body in different rear places until they finally take the body of Evita to Italy. She was buried in Italy for 14 years until the early 70s. In the early 70s, Perón's political party was no longer forbidden. The followers of Evita that wanted her body back decided to kidnap the ex-president that decided to take her out of the country in the late 50s. And they ended up killing him, torturing him, asking him where Evita was. The current president in the 70s that didn't want more people dying because of Evita's body is the one that decided to give her back to Perón that was living in Spain. So Evita went from Italy to Spain. Perón came back to Argentina with his new wife. He became president again. This time the new wife was the vice president. The new wife was not Evita, and for the Evita followers, she was trying to be the new Evita, so they didn't like her. The problem is that 1 year after they won the elections, Perón passed away, so she became the president. And to win popular support, she brought back Evita from Europe. And Evita and Perón were buried at the beginning together. But this wife of Perón, the last wife of Perón, was also overthrown by militaries, and those militaries decided to put Perón in one cemetery where many other presidents were buried, and gave Evita back to her family and buried her in the place where she's resting right now, that is at the Recoleta Cemetery.
Let me ask you about, so Evita came from a very poor background.
Really poor background. She had they were 5 brothers and sisters, 4 girls and 1 boy. And the mother was a seamstress. And she was an illegitimate daughter. When the father died, she couldn't ask for any money, so she had a very poor childhood.
And how did she, what kind of policies did she influenced her husband?
Yes, she was like the right-hand man of Perón. They used to argue a lot. But she had these very new ideas about making the ladies vote, making the ladies be part of the society, helping low-class people. It was a populist government, so of course if you have the low-class people, they will vote for you. And this is part of the controversy of Evita and Perón, because many people that was medium-class people was not sure if what they were doing were genuine things to help low-class people or just to win votes, okay? It's part of the controversy of all the populist government, but especially Perón and Evita.
And one more thing, can you talk about very briefly about the Malvinas War and these markings?
Okay.
Go ahead. And let's go over and show them to me.
Okay, let's go to see. One of the most controversial topics nowadays are these white drawings that are on the floor, that are the mothers of the May Square drawings. This is the white handkerchief that the mothers of the May Square wear on their heads. These are the mothers of all those who died during the last military government. The last military government overthrown Perón's last wife. And what they did was basically to kidnap, torture, and kill a full generation of people that had different political ideas, mainly socialists, communists. They wanted a social revolution with better conditions for all the society in general. And they were kidnapped, tortured, and eventually killed by the government. And it's 30,000 people, the one who disappeared, so it's a big number. And not only these people disappeared, but also 500 babies were kidnapped and given in illegal adoptions. The mothers of all those who disappeared during those years are still doing a demonstration here every Thursday. They've been coming here since 1977 till nowadays for different reasons. Right now they come here because they want us never to forget that something like that should never happen again. But they came here first because they wanted to know where their kids were, then because they wanted to know where they were buried, then because they want the responsibles to be in jail, okay? Now because they don't want us to forget. Not only them, from the 500 babies who disappeared, 115 got their identities back, and they are helping the grandmothers and mothers to look for the others. And the other big demonstration that we have here, the veterans of the Falkland War, all that happened in the same military government, as that military government needed a cause for us to unite it, to stop thinking about people disappearing and being tortured. They decided to get the Malvinas back. There are two islands that are in the south part of Argentina, but they had an English government since 1833. So they decided to go to a war to get them back using the conscripts. That was probably the biggest mistake. We ended up losing the war, and after that we had democracy again. 10 years after that, the militaries that were part of this conflict were finally recognized as heroes of the war, but only the ones that were on the islands. None of the veterans that were on the continent, ready to go to the islands on duty, were ever considered as heroes of the war. So they've been here for the last 5 years asking for the recognition.
medida esa de donde estoy yo como para que tengan idea cómo está.
Arte.